Hey there everyone, I'm Kyle Walden, and this is another episode of High Desert Heathenry. On this episode, I'm going to be discussing knife maintenance. We all have kind of a grasp of what it means to maintain your knives properly, just keeping them sharp, keeping them oiled, keeping them free of corrosion, etc. So in this, I'm going to show you a couple different methods. I do have a couple different knives here that I'm going to sharpen. I'm not going to sharpen all of them for you on film, that would take forever. But I am going to discuss the benefits of using different types of sharpening methods, how you can use them properly, and why you would want to use them on specific types of steel compared to others. So the primary focus of this is going to be fixing the edge on this D2 tool steel knife. D2 steel is extremely hard. It holds an edge for a really long time, but when it does get dull, it's just a pain to sharpen. And a lot of people don't like it because it's hard to sharpen in the field just by hand. It takes forever. And that's why people opt for steels like 1095, etc. So I do carry a variety of knives. I usually carry a Tops 1095 steel knife, but today I'm carrying this. I'm going to sharpen it up. I've got my little Victorinox Bantam here, and then I've got my Spyderco Manix 2. So the Spyderco is a CPM S110V steel. It's a stainless steel, but it is very hard. Has a lot of vanadium carbides in it, and it's made by Crucible Particle Metallurgy. So they take powder and actually press it and heat it to make this blade, and they cryo treat it to make it super hard. A lot of people consider it like a super steel, and there's others out there. You know, it's just dependent on what you need in a knife is what you're going to choose, of course. And that's why I carry a variety of knives with me, because I use them all for different purposes. This is my go-to for pretty much all daily activities. It is kind of hard to sharpen as well, so I try not to do too much heavy work with it where I know I'm just going to wear the blade down really fast and then I'm going to have to go back and resharpen it, because I like to keep the angle on this blade pristine and perfect if possible. This knife, however, I sharpen it on whatever stone is available to me. I just use it for cutting wood, cutting string, whittling at the campfire. Simple as that. This knife I use for batoning through logs. It is D2. I've pried a couple things with it. It hasn't bent, it hasn't chipped really or anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a really nice razor sharp edge on it. With this, I'm using my Gatco precision sharpening kit. I really like this because it's got these notches here. So I'm going to sharpen most of my blades at 22 degrees. I find that that is a really nice balance of sharpness and a good cutting profile, but it doesn't allow the edge to get so thin and brittle that it chips easy. And that's really important when you're using your knives all the time and you're putting them through hard tasks. So with this, what we do is we're going to clamp the knife into the clamp here and make sure it's really seated nicely and that it's not tilted either direction. And that's really important. Otherwise, the grind angle is going to be canted off there. We don't want that. And on certain specialty knives, it's really important to keep that edge. And you can look at the manufacturer's website or do some research online and find out what is going to be the optimal edge angle for your knife. On smaller knives that are easy to resharpen, you can use hand stones. And we all kind of have a grasp of how to do this. You simply put the knife on the stone and then you tilt it to where you can no longer see that black dark gap underneath the edge of the blade. At that point, the edge is properly lined up, and then you can stroke the blade as if you were cutting or slicing a little layer off of the stone. And by doing that, you're able to maintain the edge really well. On softer steels, this works really great. In the field, you can use stones like this, or you can use diamond steels. That's typically what I use because they're more aggressive than just a sharpening stone. And this is, a lot of people call them whetstones because you'll put water on them. Some people put oil on them, but once you put oil on a whetstone, you can never go back to using water because the oil is in the stone and it will repel water off of it. And it's kind of pros and cons to both. On this kit here, I actually use the, it's just mineral oil, like a blue, they call it honing oil, but I put that on here. It's what the kit prescribed, and it works really well for me. I have a paper towel here because I like to just wipe the residual metal shavings and oil off. So first things first, let's go ahead and get this set up. And note, there are stands for this. They make a stand from Gatco. You can set this in. It's got a grip on it, so you can hold on. It's packed up in a box, so I'm not going to worry about it. But let's go ahead and get this seated in here properly. So I tighten the first set screw down to where it clamps on and kind of closes the gap here. And then you have the primary screw in the back, which spreads open the back of it and really gives it a secure clamp on the blade. That way it's not moving around while you're working with it. And on a knife like this knife actually does have a decent weight to it, so I try to make sure that I tighten it down pretty darn good. Give it a little wobble, make sure that it's nice and straight in here and the blade isn't tilted either direction. Simple as that. Looking good. I also try to make sure that the blade is going in line with this edge here. So if it is, there we go, just turn it a little bit, boom, perfect. So because this is so hard to sharpen, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm not gonna do a coarse grit just because I don't need to reprofile my edge. I'm gonna keep it at the same angle. So with that, I'm gonna start here with medium. What's cool about these, they have the little short rod, but you pull on it, it extends out. That way you can actually reach the length of the longer blades. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna put a little bit of oil on here. All right. Insert it at 22 degrees. And I simply start with the tip of the stone at the very back of the blade, and then I push forward up to this point. So I'm going to sharpen this secondary edge, or the tip, whatever you want to call that. I'm going to sharpen that with its own set of strokes. That way I can maintain that little point right there. So I just did 10 passes on each side. I'm gonna do many more than that. But the thing with this is, whenever you're using coarse stones, well, one, you need to make sure you're doing these equal amount of strokes on each side of the blade. But also, let's say I do 100 strokes with a medium stone. That means when I go to fine, I'm gonna have to do 200. And then when I go to ultra fine, or the ceramic finishing stone here, I'm gonna have to do 400 on each side of the blade. You always wanna double it each step you go. And that'll give you a mirror finish on the blade by the time you're done with it, and it'll be razor sharp. So I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna do that. And I use these stones, like I was saying earlier, because these are actually impregnated with, they're steel, and they're impregnated with diamonds. And that diamond coating is actually gonna cut through this D2 tool steel better than something like a little whetstone will. And that's important to know. With this, I'm not even gonna worry about sharpening this on the kit. This knife I will sharpen with this kit as well here in a little bit. But that's really as simple as it gets. You just start with coarse, medium, fine, ultra fine, go through, take care of it. With hand stones, really simple. What I'm saying, you just take it, you tilt it to where you don't see any light coming from the underside here, and then you make passes as if you're gonna take it and actually cut layers off of the knife, or excuse me, off of the stone with this knife. Pretty basic, pretty simple. I hope you find this informative. If you want to check out Gatco, they make great kits. This is a really good kit. I really recommend it if you like to have a perfect angle on your blade. You don't want it catty-womp, leaning either way. It also will make it super shaving sharp. It's amazing. I've got a couple knives to go through and sharpen here, so I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. Shoot me an email at highdesertheathenry@gmail.com. And yeah, have a great day. Stay safe. Be blessed. Take care.